Humans only need to be away from sunlight for a short time before the body begins to decline. Vitamin D decreases, bones weaken, immunity falters. Simply put, we cannot stay healthy without the sun. Yet the paradox lies underground. When we die, it is the darkness that preserves our presence forever. In Europe, caves such as Goyet, Belgium, Chauvet and Lascaux, France, or the Swabian Jura, Germany, emerge as silent galleries, stone floors polished like glass, mineral-rich droplets falling steadily, and beneath them lie giant bears, hyenas, and ancient leopards, resting exactly where they stopped. Outside, light and flowing water erase every trace. Inside, darkness reverses the rules. The place thought to swallow life instead renders it immortal in stone. So if light is bound to life, why is it that darkness and confinement within caves are what preserve life eternally? Join us as we journey into the shadows, where time sculpts death into art, and where Ice Age creatures still slumber, waiting to be awakened. Taphonomy, the science of the journey from death to fossilization, shows that caves are not just shelters, but also preservation factories. In calcium carbonate-rich limestone, slightly acidic rainwater dissolves minerals as it seeps down, then drips into the cave cavity and releases CO2, reprecipitating calcium carbonate. This process creates stalactites, stalagmites, speleothems, and especially flowstone, a hard mineral coating that covers all organic objects holding bones in situ, sealing them off from microorganisms and mechanical disturbance. This slow progression over thousands of years turns the traces of life into stone statues, a form of immortal biological memory. The giant cave bear, eternal slumber. In this darkness, we encounter a true giant of the European Ice Age. A small beam of light is like opening the doors to an underground museum. The cave bear, Ursus spelaeus, was a massive animal that once roamed across Europe in the late Pleistocene. Their fossils are often found in high concentrations in caves of the Alps and Carpathians. Their size surpassed that of nearly all modern bears. An adult male could stand upright at 11.5 feet, 3.5 mere, and weigh 750 to 1,300 pounds, 340, 590 kilogor. Their hibernations were so long that even time seemed to linger beside them. They were among the largest bears ever to exist. Paleontological data shows that cave bears regularly used caves as hibernation dens. Their fossils are remarkable because they are often found in situ, meaning they died exactly where they rested. The preservation of their bones, with little disturbance or displacement, provides clear evidence of natural death. Everything lies still, like a frozen frame with no motion. This near-perfect preservation is considered the direct outcome of an ecological tragedy. Isotopic analysis, D15N, of bone collagen from fossils in Goyet Cave, Belgium, shows cave bears had a low trophic position, 192.1, confirming a primarily herbivorous diet. This specialization was a major weakness. Despite their colossal size and strength, their energy requirements were immense. The extinction of cave bears occurred around 27,800 years ago, Calamawayor BP, coinciding with the onset of a severe cold phase, Greenland Stadial 3. As the environment cooled and plant productivity declined, their basic food supply collapsed. Many individuals likely entered hibernation with insufficient fat reserves. What should have been a survival mechanism through harsh winters became a deadly trap. They never woke up. Their dietary inflexibility led to mass die-offs in dens, and that very death became the perfect preservation mechanism, leaving skeletons intact until today. Even in death, cave bears dominated the minds of prehistoric humans. They were not just a source of meat and hide. For Neanderthals, they carried spiritual power. At several European archaeological sites, researchers have discovered clusters of cave bear skulls deliberately arranged. Such finds, like skulls placed in circles in Saône-et-Loire, sparked the controversial theory of a cult of the cave bear. According to this hypothesis, cave bears were not only hunted, but also revered, perhaps as part of burial rituals or complex ceremonial practices among Neanderthals. However, modern science is challenging this legend. Paleontologists now suggest that the perfect arrangements of bones were often the result of geological and sedimentary processes, or the bear's own activity, accumulating organic matter in hibernation nests. Sites once thought to be places of worship are now regarded as natural bone beds. Still, the image of Neanderthals standing in the cave's darkness, performing rituals around the skulls of these giants, remains a cinematic story of enduring fascination. The giant hyena, the entombed scavenger. If the cave bear was a giant lulled into eternal sleep by specialization, then the cave hyena was the destroyer that never slept, trapped by its own ferocity. We shift galleries, leaving the hibernation chamber for the bone storage vault. The largest hyena ever known, Pachyrhinoceros brevirostris, the giant short-faced hyena, weighed on average about 240 pounds, 110 kilo, roughly the size of a modern lioness. But in Pleistocene caves of Europe, we most often find the cave hyena, Crocuta spelea, a subspecies of the modern spotted hyena, larger and more powerful. This subspecies had a body length of about 5 feet and weighed 200 to 250 pounds. Smaller than bears, but with jaws that were no laughing matter. The most terrifying feature of the cave hyena was its jaws. The bite force of modern hyenas is already extreme, and cave hyenas are estimated to have reached about 1,100 psi. This exceeded even modern lions, 650-1,000 psi, allowing them to crush bones with ease to reach nutrient-rich marrow. They were the primary destroyers of bones and carcasses in the Ice Age ecosystem. If there were an award for Bone Crusher of the Year, the winner was clear. Hyenas used caves as dens for shelter and raising young. They often dragged prey remains, or stripped bones, back to the den for storage and later consumption. This hoarding behavior produced the chaotic bone beds that are a hallmark of hyena caves, the Ice Age version of a pantry. The paradox: the giant hyena, the greatest destroyer of organic matter, the bone crusher and scavenger, became a preserved fossil for posterity. Their very ecological habit, concentrating organic remains and dying in dens, created ideal taphonomic conditions. They were trapped and fossilized inside the very eternal prison they built for themselves. They stored bones, and in the end, stored themselves. The extinction of the cave hyena around 10,000 years ago is thought to have resulted from a combination of factors: climate shifts, forests replacing open grasslands, and rising competition from more adaptable predators like wolves and humans. The destroyer was destroyed by smaller, more flexible rivals, left only as stone monuments to their vanished power. Times had changed. The fast and adaptable had taken over. Caves were scarce resources, fueling fierce competition between large predators and prehistoric humans. Evidence shows that hyenas and Neanderthals alternated in occupying caves. Sometimes this competition turned brutal. At hyena den sites, Neanderthal bones have been found bearing gnaw marks. This indicates hyenas were not only rivals for territory and prey, such as large ungulates, but also a direct threat to Neanderthals themselves, hunting them or scavenging their corpses, turning Neanderthals into victims of those 1,100 psi jaws. The image of the hyena, scavenger, bone destroyer, etched itself deep into humanity's primal fears, echoing beyond the Ice Age. From antiquity, hyenas have carried a bad reputation in both Western and African cultures. In African folklore, they were seen as greedy, foolish, and dangerous, In later Western texts like Physiologus, they were portrayed as hermaphrodites and grave robbers. These dark depictions likely stemmed from their very ecological habits, digging up and crushing Neanderthal bones, as confirmed in caves. Reputation preceded them because their ecological behavior left evidence behind. Yet in Paleolithic art, the cave hyena appears as a vital part of the ecosystem. Paintings at Chauvet and Lascaux, France, depict hyenas, sometimes with clearly spotted pelts, confirming their presence and significance to ancient artists. Though later myth cast them as grave robbers, to Ice Age humans, they were unavoidable forces of nature. Once drawn on cave walls, they became the official subjects of the age. The leopard and shadow-dwelling wanderers. Amidst the giants, there were still quieter ghosts. Their existence, fragile though it was, has also been preserved by cold mineral shells, like a small gallery corner reserved for the shy and elusive. Alongside bears and hyenas lived the ancient snow leopard, a subspecies larger than its modern relative. It measured 1.62.3 May 525 to 755 feet, long and weighed 159 pounds, swift, silent, lean, needing no giant muscles or bone-crushing jaws. Their fossils usually survive only as fragments, skull pieces or canines, scattered in European caves, including the Swabian Jura. The pelts are gone, but mineral coatings give their teeth a faint shimmer in the dark, enough to show that a predator once padded softly through here. What remains is not a roar, but a glimmer of stone. The greater paradox, darkness preserved not only giants, but also the delicate. Bird bones, hollow and fragile, should have crumbled, yet in cave sediments, Ice Age bat and bird bones are still found. A little patience from time was enough. This fragile preservation required another mechanism. Bats lived in large colonies, and their guano droppings is rich in phosphate. In limestone caves, guano reacted with calcium carbonate, producing phosphate minerals like apatite that coated and protected small bones. In short, here darkness did not just hold, it carefully reinforced every fragile thread of bone. Thus, caves contained at least two preservation pathways, calcite forming flowstone and phosphate from guano. This micro-environmental diversity allowed even paper-thin bat wings to endure for tens of thousands of years. So when we shine a light, the Ice Age ecosystem emerges in full, giants and miniatures alike, each telling its own story. Bird fossils, the art of time, fossils as sculpture, climax. What we see is not only biological evidence, but sculpture carved by time itself. It is geology's absolute patience. Layers of speleothems, flowstone, stalagmites, stalactites formed as calcium carbonate saturated water reprecipitated. This process moved at geological speed, requiring thousands of years to form just a few inches of coating. Over tens of thousands of years, dripping calcite replaced each cell, each fiber of bone, transforming it into a single block of stone sculpture. In most other environments, bones decay rapidly or are disturbed by biological and physical agents. But in caves, the flowstone did more than act as a shield. It sealed bones completely from external forces, including insects, microbes, floods, and earthquakes. The slow pace of mineralization created a controlled environment of pressure and time. Bones were not crushed, not transported, but locked forever in a calcium matrix. This provided paleontologists with specimens of exceptional fidelity, enabling accurate evaluation of sample quality in relation to questions of ecology and biogeography. Such preservation is proof of the absolute power of geology, turning death into an eternal memory. Caves, natural museum, sacred temple, and the Lion Man. What should have been a life-destroying environment, dark, cold, and damp, has instead created a near-perfect preservation system. Caves function as Ice Age genetic banks, holding everything from 300-pound giants to paper-thin batwing bones. Outside, sun, rain, and decay erase all traces. Inside, the stone ceilings seep with minerals, the floors streaked with calcium like glass, everything sealed in the place where time left it. More than just material stores, caves are places where species interact, including ancient humans. In Germany's Swabian Jura, a region rich in megafauna fossils, humans 33,000 years ago turned the caves into creative workshops, carving statues of humans, animals, mammoths, horses, from ivory. The highlight is the Lion Man statue, a humanoid figure with the head of a cave lion, Panthera spelea, often interpreted as a shamanic symbol, an intermediary who borrows the predatory power of the Ice Age. From here emerges a red thread. Science and art reside in the same darkness. Fossils are physical evidence of existence. Broken teeth, bite marks, in situ bones tell stories of hibernation, predation, territorial disputes, extinction. Cave art is spiritual evidence, how ancient humans saw and communicated with natural forces. Both are preserved in the same ecosystem of conservation, the cold cave, where mineral drips transform the flesh of organic matter into stone statues. If those underground cavities had remained sealed, would we have known that the Ice Age was once teeming with giant bears, hyenas with 1,100 psi bites, leopards slinking through the darkness, and bats hanging from the ceiling? Excavations have not only confirmed presence, they have revealed behavior, how species slept, hunted, took turns occupying caves, competed with humans and each other. In doing so, the picture of survival and extinction in a changing climate begins to come together. So caves are more than just darkness. They are where time tries its hand at sculpture, turning the great bear into a monument of specialization, the great hyena into a monument of destruction, and even fragile bones into whispers that transcend tens of thousands of years. Still, we have only uncovered a small part of the global cave network. The question remains, in the unlit cavities, how many ancient beasts sleep forever, waiting to be named? And so, the opening question finds its answer. Yes, caves, dark, cold, damp, truly operate as museums of the Ice Age. Within limestone, time, water, and minerals sealed the final scenes. Cave bears in eternal hibernation, hyenas bone prisons, leopard bite marks on prey skulls, even the fragile bones of bats. Outside, light erases traces. Inside, darkness preserves them as stone statues, solving the paradox. Captivity in caves ensured life's eternal preservation. If these galleries of nature have only been partly revealed, countless untold stories remain, and perhaps the next cave opened will transform our understanding of an entire epoch. What about you? Which image haunts you most? The cave bear's eternal sleep, or the hyena's bone vault? If you could explore a cave no human has ever entered, which species traces would you seek first? In your opinion, what is the greatest mystery still locked in stone? Share your perspective in the comments below. We'll feature some in the next video. If you found this journey fascinating, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next exploration. Thanks for coming along. See you on the next expedition.